The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg is a groundbreaking book that explores the science behind why habits exist and how they can be changed. It delves into the neurological patterns that shape our daily routines, explaining how habits form through a cycle of cue, routine, and reward. Duhigg takes us on a fascinating journey, revealing how individuals, organizations, and even entire societies operate based on habits, often without even realizing it. The book is packed with real-life examples, from how Starbucks trains its employees using habit loops to how major companies like Target can predict customer behavior before they even know it themselves. But this book isn't just about understanding habits, it's about transforming them. Duhigg introduces the concept of Keystone habits, small changes that, over time, can create a ripple effect, leading to massive transformations in our personal and professional lives. Whether you're trying to break a bad habit or build a powerful new one, this book provides the blueprint to take control of your behaviors and shape your future. At Audiobook World, our mission is simple: to bring powerful knowledge to our listeners through engaging and immersive audiobook summaries. We believe books have the power to change lives, but in today's fast-paced world, not everyone has the time to sit down and read. That's why we carefully craft high-quality summaries, capturing the essence of insightful books like The Power of Habit, so our listeners can absorb and apply the most valuable lessons in a shorter time. From self-improvement, to business strategies, to psychology and finance, Audiobook World ensures that every summary is not just informative, but also engaging. Through our unique storytelling approach, we make complex ideas simple, relatable, and easy to implement in daily life. So sit back, relax, and get ready to transform your habits, mindset, and future, one audiobook at a time. Chapter 1: The Habit Loop. Imagine waking up in the morning, your hand instinctively reaches for your phone. You check messages, scroll through social media, and only then get out of bed. You do this every day, but have you ever wondered why? This is the power of habit, and in Chapter 1 of The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg introduces us to the science behind how habits work. At the core of every habit is what Duhigg calls the habit loop, a neurological pattern that consists of three key elements. 1. Cue, the trigger that tells your brain to start a habit. 2. Routine, the actual behavior or action you perform. 3. Reward, the benefit or pleasure your brain receives, reinforcing the habit. To understand this, Duhigg shares a fascinating case study from the 1990s, research on a man named Eugene Pauly. Due to a brain infection, Eugene lost the ability to form new memories. Yet, despite not remembering his own home's layout, he could walk to the kitchen and grab a snack without thinking. How? His brain had formed habits that worked automatically, without conscious effort. This research proved something incredible. Once a habit is formed, it moves from the conscious mind to the subconscious, making it feel almost effortless. That's why you can drive home without remembering the turns you took, or brush your teeth without thinking about each step. Duhigg also explains how cravings drive habits. Companies like Pepsi and Febreze have mastered this concept, creating products that trigger cravings, so customers keep buying them. For example, Febreze initially failed in the market. But once the company added a fresh scent, giving users a clean smell reward, it became a bestseller. The key takeaway: habits can be changed, but only if you understand the habit loop. By identifying the cue, modifying the routine, and keeping the reward, you can reshape any habit, whether it's waking up early, exercising, or quitting junk food. So, next time you find yourself reaching for a cookie, pause. Think about what's triggering it. Because once you understand the habit loop, you have the power to break bad habits and build better ones. Chapter 2: The Craving Brain. Have you ever wondered why some habits are so hard to break, while others seem to form effortlessly? In Chapter 2 of The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg reveals the hidden force that makes habits stick: cravings. At the heart of every strong habit is a powerful craving that drives it. Duhigg explains that habits don't just form because of repetition, they form because our brains start expecting a reward, even before we get it. This is what makes habits so powerful and so difficult to change. To prove this, Duhigg shares a fascinating study involving a group of monkeys and juice rewards. Researchers trained a monkey named Julio to recognize a simple pattern. When he saw a certain shape on the screen and pulled a lever, he would get a sip of juice. At first, Julio did this purely for the reward. But over time, something amazing happened. His brain started anticipating the juice before he even pulled the lever. The craving itself became the driving force behind his behavior. This is exactly what happens with human habits. Whether it's the rush of sugar from a soft drink, the satisfaction of checking social media, or the relaxation of smoking a cigarette, our brains start craving the feeling, making the habit automatic. Companies have used this psychological trick for decades to make their products irresistible. Take Pepsodent toothpaste, for example. In the early 1900s, most Americans didn't brush their teeth regularly. But then, an advertising campaign introduced a fresh, tingling sensation, making people crave the feeling of a clean mouth. Within a few years, brushing teeth became a daily habit for millions. So what does this mean for us? It means that if we want to change a habit, we have to create a craving for something new. Instead of trying to simply eliminate a bad habit, we need to replace it by giving our brain a different reward that feels just as satisfying. Think about it. What if, instead of craving junk food, you started craving the energy of healthy eating? What if, instead of checking your phone every 5 minutes, you started craving the calmness of focused work? The key is to understand what your brain craves and use it to your advantage. Because once a craving takes hold, it has the power to shape your life. Chapter 3: The Golden Rule of Habit Change. Have you ever tried to break a bad habit, only to find yourself falling back into it? Maybe you quit smoking for a few weeks but then gave in to temptation, or tried waking up early, only to snooze your alarm again and again. In Chapter 3 of The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg reveals why habits are so hard to break, and the secret to changing them for good. At the core of this chapter is the golden rule of habit change. You can't eliminate a habit, but you can change it. Duhigg explains that habits are wired into our brain through the habit loop, cue, routine, and reward. Once a habit is formed, the brain holds on to it, even if we try to resist. That's why willpower alone often fails. But here's the good news: you don't need to erase the habit. You just need to modify the routine while keeping the same cue and reward. To illustrate this, Duhigg shares the story of Tony Dungy, a legendary NFL coach. When Dungy took over the struggling Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he didn't just focus on strategy, he focused on habits. He trained his players to replace complicated reactions with automatic, instinctive moves. Instead of overthinking, they acted without hesitation, turning their new habits into instant responses on the field. The result? The Buccaneers, once one of the worst teams, became champions. Another powerful example comes from Alcoholics Anonymous. Instead of simply telling alcoholics to stop drinking, replaces the drinking habit with group meetings, emotional support, and a sense of purpose. The cue, stress, boredom, loneliness, remains the same, but instead of drinking, people engage in new routines, talking, sharing, and finding support, while still getting the same emotional relief as a reward. The key lesson: you don't have to fight habits, you have to redirect them. If you crave junk food every evening, try replacing chips with a healthier snack that gives you the same satisfaction. If you scroll through social media out of boredom, replace it with something equally engaging, like reading or exercising. But here's the final ingredient: belief. Duhigg explains that habits change most effectively when people believe in the possibility of change. That's why support systems, whether in sports, addiction recovery, or personal growth, are so powerful. When people see others transforming their lives, they start believing they can do it too. So, next time you struggle with breaking a habit, don't fight it. Rewire it. Because once you understand the golden rule of habit change, you have the power to reshape your actions, mindset, and life. Chapter 4: Keystone Habits, or the Ballad of Paul O'Neill. Have you ever noticed how small changes in your habits can lead to big transformations in your life? In Chapter 4 of The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg introduces us to the concept of keystone habits, certain habits that, when changed, set off a chain reaction, leading to other positive changes in your life. These habits are the catalysts for a wider transformation. Duhigg illustrates this with the inspiring story of Paul O'Neill, the former CEO of Alcoa, one of the largest aluminum companies in the world. When O'Neill took over Alcoa in the 1980s, the company was struggling with poor profits and safety issues. But instead of focusing on immediate financial growth, O'Neill did something unexpected. he made worker safety the company's #1 priority. Now, you might think, how does improving safety relate to improving profits? But here's the key: O'Neill understood that safety wasn't just about preventing accidents, it was a keystone habit. By focusing on safety, Alcoa improved its overall operations. Safety required employees to be more engaged, more aware of their environment, and more cooperative with each other. As a result, not only did accidents decrease, but productivity, efficiency, and profits also skyrocketed. Keystone habits, like the one O'Neill created, have a ripple effect. They don't just affect one area of your life, they can change everything. For example, starting an exercise routine doesn't just improve your fitness, it also boosts your energy, enhances your mood, and often leads to better eating habits, improved focus, and even stronger relationships. The chapter also touches on other examples of keystone habits, like how Starbucks trains its employees to handle customer interactions. By teaching workers to control their emotions and respond calmly in stressful situations, Starbucks created a habit of empowerment that not only improved customer service but also boosted overall employee satisfaction. So, how do you find your keystone habit? Duhigg suggests looking for habits that have a big impact on other aspects of your life. Ask yourself, what is one habit I could focus on that could lead to multiple positive changes? It could be something as simple as making your bed every morning, reading for 10 minutes a day, or making healthier food choices. These small, manageable habits can become the foundation for a transformation. The key takeaway: keystone habits are powerful because when you change one small thing, it has the potential to change everything. By focusing on these high-leverage habits, you can unlock your full potential and start a chain reaction of positive changes in your life. Chapter 5: Starbucks and the Habit of Success. Have you ever wondered how some companies create cultures of success where employees are not just doing their jobs, but are deeply engaged and passionate about what they do? In Chapter 5 of The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg reveals how Starbucks transformed its business by understanding the science of habits and, more importantly, by teaching its employees to form positive habits that would lead to success. The story begins with Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. When Schultz took over the company, it was already a successful coffee chain, but he wanted to do more than just serve coffee. He wanted to create an experience, one where employees were empowered to provide exceptional service, regardless of the situation. But how could Schultz ensure that his employees would always give their best, especially in stressful moments? The answer lay in habits. Schultz and his team realized that in order for employees to consistently provide top-tier service, they had to develop automatic responses to difficult situations. So, they set out to create a habit loop for Starbucks workers, a series of actions that employees could take when faced with stressful or challenging situations. They introduced a process called the LAT factor, a series of simple, routine actions designed to help employees stay calm and focused in the face of pressure. These habits, like smiling, greeting customers warmly, or making eye contact, became automatic behaviors for employees, even in the busiest stores. But Starbucks didn't just rely on the employees' habits, they also helped develop their belief systems. Schultz understood that if his employees believed they had the power to make a difference in a customer's day, they would act more confidently and positively. To reinforce this belief, Starbucks introduced emotional training, teaching employees to control their emotions, stay calm, and handle stress without letting it affect the customer experience. Chapter 6: The Power of a Crisis. Have you ever experienced a crisis that forced you to change your habits? A situation that seemed overwhelming at first, but eventually became the turning point for something better in your life? In Chapter 6 of The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg explores how crises, while often seen as negative, can be powerful catalysts for positive change, both for individuals and organizations. Duhigg starts with the story of Target, the retail giant, and how it used customer data to predict habits and anticipate needs. But Target didn't just rely on marketing tactics. During a crisis, the company realized it had to change its entire approach to customer relations. Target discovered that people's shopping habits were deeply tied to life events, like pregnancy. Using this information, they began tailoring advertisements to expectant mothers, offering them coupons for baby products at the perfect time. However, their success also led to a backlash when one father discovered that Target had sent ads to his teenage daughter about baby products, revealing her pregnancy before she told him. This crisis forced the company to rethink their data-driven strategies and the ethical responsibility that came with analyzing customer habits. But it wasn't just companies that were transformed by crisis. Duhigg also tells the story of Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott, a pivotal event in the civil rights movement. Parks' refusal to give up her seat on a segregated bus was, at the time, a crisis, but it sparked a larger movement that changed the habits of a nation. The crisis became a powerful moment that shifted public opinion and forever altered the fabric of American society. The movement gained momentum as people realized that, through collective action, they could change the system. So, what's the real lesson of this chapter? A crisis, whether personal or professional, forces you to re-evaluate your habits. It disrupts the status quo, and in doing so, opens up the possibility for a new path forward. As difficult as a crisis might seem, it can be an opportunity to form new, positive habits that would have never been possible without that push. When organizations face a crisis, it's often a moment of increased awareness, a chance to question existing routines and adapt to the changing world. When individuals face a crisis, it's an opportunity to shift perspective and adopt habits that better serve their needs. The key takeaway: crises are powerful because they force you to confront your habits and beliefs, making you realize that change is possible. Whether it's a crisis at work, in your personal life, or even a societal shift, these moments can be transformative, pushing you toward growth, resilience, and the ability to shape your future. Chapter 7: How Target Knows What You Want Before You Do. Have you ever felt like a company knew exactly what you needed, sometimes before you even realized it yourself? In Chapter 7 of The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg delves into the fascinating world of consumer habits and how companies like Target use data to predict what their customers will buy, often with incredible accuracy. Duhigg begins with the story of how Target revolutionized its marketing strategies by analyzing customers' shopping patterns. Using sophisticated data analytics, Target was able to predict life changes, like pregnancy, by tracking subtle changes in shopping behavior. For example, when a woman bought certain products, like unscented lotion or magnesium supplements, Target's system could predict that she was likely expecting a baby, even before she had told anyone. Target then used this insight to send personalized coupons for baby-related items, increasing the chances of a sale. This technique is based on the idea that habits are patterns, and by tracking these patterns, companies can anticipate your future behavior. The goal isn't just to make a sale, it's to influence your habits and build a relationship with you, even before you realize it. But this strategy raises ethical questions. How much information is too much? How comfortable are we with companies using our personal data to shape our decisions? For example, when the father of a teenage girl discovered that Target knew she was pregnant before he did, it led to a public debate about privacy and the limits of data use. Despite these concerns, companies are increasingly using data to tap into our habits, whether it's through targeted ads, personalized shopping experiences, or predictive analytics. The key takeaway from this chapter is that understanding habits is a powerful tool both for individuals and businesses. While it's amazing how companies can predict our behavior, it also highlights the importance of being aware of our own habits and the forces that shape them. In a world where data plays such a significant role in shaping our decisions, it's important to recognize how much our habits are influenced by external factors. Whether it's through targeted advertising or subtle nudges, the habits we form can often be influenced by forces we don't even realize. But the good news is, once we understand how our habits work, we can take control, not just of our shopping habits, but of every aspect of our lives. Chapter 8: Saddleback Leather and the Power of Belief. In this chapter, Duhigg takes us on an incredible journey into the world of Saddleback Leather, a company that found extraordinary success by using the power of belief to create a loyal following. But it wasn't just about making high-quality leather products, it was about making people believe in something much bigger. The founder of Saddleback, Dave Munson, discovered something powerful: belief is at the core of lasting habits. When he started his company, Dave didn't have a large marketing budget, and he was up against much bigger competitors. So, Instead of focusing solely on the product, he focused on creating a belief system, one that would resonate with people on a deeper level. He built a brand that wasn't just about selling leather goods, but about promoting a way of life, a life of adventure, craftsmanship, and quality. The real turning point for Duhigg came when he realized that his customers didn't just want a bag, they wanted to be part of a community. They wanted to believe that the product they were purchasing was tied to something authentic. By using stories, testimonials, and a clear message of purpose, Saddleback Leather turned everyday customers into lifelong advocates. What does this tell us about habits? Well, it shows that belief is one of the most powerful drivers of human behavior. When we believe in something, we become more committed, more engaged, and more willing to stick with something, even when the journey gets tough. Duhigg explains that belief can create a habit loop, just like any other habit. When people buy into the belief of a brand, they're not just buying a product, they're buying into a lifestyle, a mission, and a deeper sense of purpose. This belief becomes a key component of the habit loop, reinforcing their desire to continue supporting the brand. But what happens when a brand fails to maintain that belief? In this chapter, we also see the dangers of losing touch with your mission. As companies grow, they can sometimes forget why they started in the first place, losing the belief that made their brand successful. In the case of Saddleback, it was the company's commitment to quality and its deep-rooted belief in craftsmanship that kept customers coming back. They knew that their bags weren't just about looking good, they were about enduring. That belief became a powerful motivator for both the customers and the employees. So, what's the main takeaway here? The most powerful habits are often fueled by belief. When you believe in something, whether it's a cause, a product, or a purpose, you are more likely to form lasting habits around it. In fact, belief can be the secret ingredient that turns a simple habit into something much bigger, a movement that shapes your life and the lives of those around you. If you want to create lasting success, whether in business or personal life, remember this: belief is what drives behavior. Believe in what you do, and you'll create habits that will not only sustain you but inspire others to join your journey. Chapter 9: The Importance of Willpower. In Chapter 9, Duhigg dives into the fascinating and crucial subject of willpower, the ability to control our impulses and stay committed to long-term goals. Often, we think of willpower as something innate, something we either have or we don't. But what Duhigg uncovers is that willpower is not just a trait, it's a habit that can be cultivated, strengthened, and leveraged to shape our lives. Duhigg starts with the story of Walter Mischel's famous marshmallow experiment, where children were given a choice: eat one marshmallow immediately or wait 15 minutes and get 2 marshmallows later. The children who were able to delay gratification by waiting showed better life outcomes years later, such as higher academic achievement, healthier lifestyles, and greater financial stability. This experiment revealed the immense power of self-control and how it can influence a person's future. However, the chapter takes a fascinating turn when Duhigg explores the idea that willpower can be built, much like any other habit. It's not about being born with stronger willpower, but about consistently practicing small acts of discipline. Duhigg introduces the concept of Keystone habits, habits that have a ripple effect on other areas of life. For example, adopting a habit of regular exercise can lead to improvements in diet, productivity, and even mental health. Duhigg highlights Julie, a woman who struggled with controlling her eating habits but transformed her life when she built the habit of exercise. At first, she simply focused on making herself go for a walk every day. But over time, this small habit of physical activity gave her the strength to make better food choices, improve her emotional health, and even become a more confident person. Julie's story is a clear example of how willpower can be strengthened by focusing on one key habit. But Duhigg doesn't just discuss personal willpower, he also explores how organizations can cultivate willpower among their employees. He shares the story of Alcoa, an aluminum company that turned itself around by focusing on one key goal: improving worker safety. This decision, though it seemed unrelated to the company's main business objectives, created a domino effect that improved everything from efficiency to profitability. The company discovered that when employees felt safer and more empowered, their willpower to perform well in other areas increased. What's the key takeaway from this chapter? Willpower isn't something you are born with, it's something you can build. By focusing on Keystone habits, you can increase your self-control and apply that strength to other areas of life. Whether you are trying to break a bad habit or form a new one, the more you practice willpower, the stronger it becomes. Ultimately, willpower is one of the most important skills for creating lasting change in our lives. And the good news? Just like any other habit, it can be trained. So, if you want to transform your life, start by developing small, consistent habits of self-control. It's through these tiny victories that you'll unlock the power of willpower, which will propel you to achieve your greatest goals. As we wrap up this journey through The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, it becomes clear that habits are the invisible forces that shape our lives in ways we often don't even realize. From the science behind habit formation to the stories of individuals and organizations that successfully transformed their lives and businesses, we've seen how powerful a tool a habit can be. Whether it's creating change in our personal lives, navigating crises, or strengthening our willpower, habits are the foundation of the life we build. The key takeaway from this book is that habits are not fixed. They can be changed, reformed, and harnessed to improve every aspect of our lives. Just like Target's ability to predict our shopping behavior, or Dave Munson's belief system behind saddleback leather, we can use our understanding of habits to create the future we desire. The process is simple, yet incredibly powerful. Identify the cues, routines, and rewards that drive your habits, and you can reshape them for success. At the end of the day, the real power lies in the choice we have. We can continue to let our habits shape us, or we can choose to reshape them to our advantage. Every small step we take toward breaking bad habits and forming good ones is a step toward creating lasting change. Thank you for taking this journey through the power of habit with us. Remember, it's not about how many times you fail, it's about the small, consistent efforts that will eventually lead you to success. Keep questioning, keep improving, and keep building the habits that will transform your life. For more thought-provoking books and life-changing ideas, stay tuned to Audiobook World, where we make understanding powerful books accessible and engaging for everyone.